where I was for just over a year. And I've been at Phnom Penh for quite a while, so since I was about 8 years old. But yeah, there's a lot of new faces, so, and I think some of you don't recognize me, but yeah. Anyway, so before I begin, I just want to share a little bit about myself so you know my background, and then I'll go through some of the experiences that I had and the projects that I was involved in while I was in Cambodia. So I'm Malaysian Chinese, I'm not Cambodian. I was born in Malaysia when I was, well, in 1986. And then my family moved to New Zealand when I was 7. So I pretty much grew up here, went to Rangitoto College and Massey University, and graduated with Bachelor of Design in Industrial Design at the School of Design in Phnom Penh. Yeah, and so after I graduated, I spent a year in the US, went through a program called IEP, which allows you to go to the US and work and travel for a year. And so I did that, came home to New Zealand for a couple of months, and then got the opportunity to go to Cambodia. And so I did that and just came back about a month ago. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Cambodia. A lot of people don't know much about it because I think it's not really talked about. So I just want to give you a few facts. So Cambodia is in Southeast Asia. It's located, next slide please. It's located next to Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. It has a population of 14.5 million people. The economy is based on agriculture, mainly rice production, and also in construction, tourism, and gardens. It is the second poorest country in Southeast Asia with a GDP of only $260. Over 30% or 36% of the population live below the poverty line, so that's 1 in 3 people live under the national poverty line of 45 cents a day. According to UNICEF, 8.6% of children die before they reach their first year, and roughly 44,000 children die under the age of 5 each year. Phnom Penh is the capital, and it was once regarded as the Pearl of Asia, and that was before the Khmer Rouge. And some of the issues that Cambodia deals with is, of course, poverty, but also sex trafficking, violence against women, and illiteracy. So to understand why Cambodia moved from being the Pearl of Asia to the second poorest country in Southeast Asia, we need to look at the history. So back in 1975, the Communist Party of Kampuchea, called the Khmer Rouge, came into power. And so this party was led by a man called Pol Pot. And together with this party, they decided to reform the country. And so in just 3 years, over 2 million people died because they were simply tortured, murdered, or just starved to death. So because of this, the rule of the Khmer Rouge was considered genocide. The party aimed at the elite and the intellectuals and educated people because those were the people that had the potential to overthrow the party. So that left the country with a lot of illiterate, uneducated people, and of course, in total disarray. And so the country became heavily reliant on foreign aid. And so today, there's actually over 3,000 NGOs working in Cambodia, which is the second highest behind Rwanda. So how did I end up in Cambodia? Back in September 2009, after I came back from the US, a friend of mine asked me to go over to Cambodia and help him with the renovations of Hagar Restaurant and Catering. And at that time, I had just come back from the US and was looking for a job and couldn't really find anything. And so my friend was like, oh, do you want to come over to Cambodia and help me with the renovations? And it was just for 6 weeks. And I thought, well, I've never been on a missions trip before, never done anything like this before. Thought it was a golden opportunity. So I went, and during the 6 weeks, I went to a church called ICA, which is the International Christian Assembly. And there I just met a lot of people who presented me with a lot of opportunities to serve. So I was like, wow, there's so much to do in Cambodia, all for a really great purpose. And couldn't find a job in New Zealand, so after I spent the 6 weeks in Cambodia, I came back to New Zealand for Christmas and New Year's, and then decided to go back in January. And so what was supposed to be like a 7-month stint became 9 months and then 13 months. So I just want to share with you with 4 organizations that I was involved in. So the first is Hagar International. So Hagar is a Christian organization committed to the recovery, empowerment, and reintegration of women and children who have been abused, victimized, and trafficked. And they work in Afghanistan, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Can you go on to the next slide? And so these women can go to Hagar's shelters and receive counseling and also a chance to read, to learn how to read and write, be educated, and also to receive vocational training. And so in Cambodia, they can receive training in hospitality. And so these women can go and learn how to cook, to clean, and also be waiters and waitresses. And then after they go through vocational training, they can work at Hagar's restaurants or canteens. And so it's really great because they can have the opportunity to work in a clean and safe environment, receive a decent income, and not have to resort to like demeaning occupations like prostitution, which a lot of girls and women actually resort to. So at Hagar, I helped with the restaurant and just with the renovations and with the graphic design, so producing marketing material and new logo and new menu design. Then in April, the Swiss couple that I was living with decided to start a social business in web development. And so they have a social mission of reaching out to young local graduates and using, or through them, improving the IT industry in Cambodia. And so they offered me a position as a graphic design advisor. And so my role was to lead the small design team, teach them about design principles and web development, and also just help build the company up as well. So it was really great that I was able